busy show for you this evening. Niall Moyna will join us to discuss an ESRI report into the life and welfare of our inter-county players. We have Ronan O'Gara with the La Rochelle Diaries once again. That's coming up after 8 o'clock. Brian O'Driscoll, meanwhile, picks his player of the decade. Paddy Agnew talks to us about Carlo Ancelotti, who will be appointed on Merseyside this week. And Dan McDonnell will talk to us about a rather strange week at Leinster House for the FAI. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Joe.
Of the Irish Independent, of course.
Thank you, Joe.
Richie McCormack, hello.
Hi, Joe.
How are you?
Good, thank you, Joe.
What's all this?
I don't know, we're just being formal and grateful. It's the season of gratitude and Thanksgiving, Joseph.
Add a bit more formality to proceedings.
I think that's appropriate for this show. Sometimes we're a bit too lax, don't you think, Dan?
Yes, that would be my observation, Joe. I would agree.
A bit loose. So we're talking to Niall Moyna, Professor Niall Moyna from DCU, a man immersed in GAA and education and good health generally, about this ESRI report. Some interesting findings in it. This was commissioned by the GAA and the GPA, and they surveyed lots of inter-county hurlers and footballers and asked them about their lifestyle and how life is, and got lots of information about them. There's some headline stuff, including the supplement culture. So about 80% of inter-county players take supplements. The problem, though, is that 26% of those 80%, that's quite a lot of players, they source their supplements from the internet. They just go online and they just get them, and they don't really run it by...
Read an Amazon review and just buy.
Yes. And so, I mean, the Australian Anti-Doping Agency in 2016 said that as many as 19% of common supplements contain traces of anabolic agents or stimulants. 19%. So if you said to the GAA player out there who's getting his supplement off the internet, you realise there's a 1 in 5 chance there's something anabolic in that goes against the rules. Would you still take it? The answer would be no. But they're doing that. It's not the brightest move. So they're trying to get the information out to GAA players to stop doing that.
But when you consider the numbers, without wanting to set up a spoiler for you, the numbers that are subject to drug testing at inter-county level.
Not many.
It's not many.
No.
Well, I think that's a broader thing in Irish sport as well. I mean, obviously it's an inter-county debate, but I've had this discussion with people involved in football recently as well. You know, that you'd have some clubs, say League of Ireland clubs, that might go through a year without, you know, a handful of instances. So
that just smacks that the people who are looking after the dope testing aren't necessarily that well funded. Because otherwise they would have people on the ground the whole time. Like the picture that Damien Delaney painted last week when he sat here saying that, you know, when in terms of high level football, like you're subject at any stage, and they're there a couple of times a season, and there's a couple of them on site and looking after things, whereas that kind of instance doesn't happen in Irish sport. At least that's the picture you get from these kind of surveys.
Most players work full-time. 93% of inter-county players work full-time. That compares with 88% of the population, so that's quite a good
How many are
return.
teachers? Do we get a percentage on teachers?
23% of all inter-county players are teachers.
Do you know what? I actually figured it would have been higher.
And there's actually about 40% of them say they would not pick the same career again. Not teachers specifically, just all their careers. A huge percentage of them pick their careers to suit their football and hurling, but 23% are teachers.
That's going to be odd when they hit like 35.
I would have thought so.
And suddenly they've outgrown the inter-county scene and they're in a profession that they're not keen on based on their inter-county setup.
I think plenty of regret out there, yes.
Well, there's no doubt that all the decisions are made with their sporting. For most, or either that or they retire early, because go back to the instance of, like, and I go back to the world I know, I guess, you know, that there was a League of Ireland player in Galway who was offered a very good full-time contract at another club, but his native county came in with a full-time job and a car, and also you play, you know, inter-county football. So I mean, there's no doubt it's part of the deal.
There's no doubt. Maybe a lot of them are quite happy. Like, the interesting thing is to compare this to the average person in the street. That's what makes, like, for instance, you might wonder about salaries. Are salaries the same? Salaries are basically exactly the same. So there's a €13 difference per week, inter-county players compared to their fellow males their age. So salaries are kind of the same. But if you stopped 10 people on the street, or 100 on the street, do you think 40% of people you might randomly stop might say to you, yeah, I would do something different career-wise if I had a chance?
That's the nature of it. But I guess
like 100% of journalists would.
Nothing as boring as journalists complaining about the media industry being doing. Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that, you know, 4 out of 10?
Okay, but 13%. The one thing is, though, it's the longer term. I guess it's the longer term cost, though, that you say that there's it's 13. Was it €13? 13% difference between
€13.
€13. Okay, not dramatic, but
it's exactly the same.
But a lot, but the 23% that are teachers, like a lot of people in their 20s are at sort of entry-level roles of a different type of industry that when they get to their 30s and 40s, it naturally multiplies. Whereas the teachers, it doesn't necessarily multiply at all. So there's not going to be a massive difference in their wages at the 20s, because a lot of people aren't earning good money in their 20s, but it's what they've done and how it's affected their ability to jump as they get older.
That's a fair point. By the way, that whole cliche of the GAA inter-county player sales rep, I thought that was just as alive and well as ever. Actually, with just 5% of GAA players involved in sales and customer services, they are underrepresented in that industry. 11% of the general population are in sales, but the GAA player doing it isn't there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
What about like general, like does that include banks and financial institutions, etc.?
Don't think so. So we'll get, like, there's loads. We'll talk about with Niall Moyna. Really impressive education levels. 61% of inter-county players have a degree compared to 35% of their male counterparts in the population. It's a hell of a difference.
Well, listen, that is a dramatic, again, I'm going back to like football, but that's such a dramatic difference. I think there was like some surveys to, League of Ireland players, and the amount that only have a junior cert is sort of staggering. It was a very high percentage. I don't want to speculate what the percentage was, but it was reported at the time. So I guess the nature of the college, the college degree actually is very suitable for it's actively encouraged. I mean, there's a competitive college football scene that means that it happens.
Yeah.
So
well, it's a huge part of the GAA journey to go to college and play Sigerson.
But are they happy though? I mean, this is the whole bottom line debate.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm always interested by the monastic sort of lifestyle that is deemed sort of, it's incumbent on them, and they watch sort of well-paid counterparts or moderately paid counterpart in other sports that enjoy a bit more of a normal social life.
Well, the overwhelming message coming from the players in this report was they want the playing season reduced and they want fewer time commitments. They just think it's taking up way too much time. Interestingly, the phrase, the reintroduction of enjoyment into the games, was used. So that was kind of a thing that we'll put to Niall Moyna. And the other thing that jumped out at me.
I mean, that seems to me is, if you're reintroducing enjoyment, that would appear to be more of a negative, I would have thought, in terms of the happiness scale.
The other thing was drink. Drink, Dan. And Richie, of course. So I think this is
That's twice this evening.
I was quite
alone
pointed.
at this station. Twice. I've been introduced to me going, in terms of people who drink, as someone who would never let the side down. Richie McCormack.
Are you a drinker? Are you a big drinker?
No.
He's retired.
The last time I drank was like over a year ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Not even a beer in your house?
Nothing. Not even an alcoholic trifle, Joe.
Why not? I mean, I don't ask that in an accusatory way. Like, what's wrong with you? Was that a choice?
A very serious. No, just not arse anymore.
So you're not.
I don't know that.
Drink on the couch.
I knew that.
Can do that. Dan keeps 96.
Get to know your colleagues,
Thanks,
Joe.
Dan. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Joe doesn't care.
I didn't have you down as a big drinker, but not having had a drink for a year.
Yeah.
That's serious stuff. You're going to keep that going?
Yeah. It's going to be bothered. Hangovers are terrible, especially in your late 30s.
Yeah.
With chiselers.
And they are. I mean, it's just a depressive anyway, isn't it? Really, it's like the misery of the next day is not worth it.
And this is enough for me of a depressive job.
I hear you. Dan McDonnell, on the other hand, regularly and
There's a room with the somebody's waiting for him in Brogan's.
Yeah. I mean,
With a toasty on the go.
I mean, I'm not saying you're a problem drinker.
No.
Put the nagging away, Dan, for God's sake.
But anyway,
I
sorry.
needed to sleep, Joe.
I'm only messing.
Yeah.
The thing about GAA players when it comes to drink is they drink less than the general population. But when they drink, they drink. And this is because they're all bloody weighed down, I would think, with drinking bans. So they're so unallowed to probably have a pint in their local for fear it gets back to their manager, that when they do get a free pass,
There you go. Well, so we've seen videos and other clips circulating of various sporting teams, end of season parties, Christmas do season in football now. You keep hearing stuff about the Olympic Village at the
the Olympics.
The Olympics.
Olympic
the
Village at the
athletes'
Olympics.
village at the Olympics. But there is obviously extremes of it, and I mean, without going down to different, it's things in moderation versus binge excess.
True, yeah.
Binge excess is way more damaging, and certainly that is pretty much actively encouraged by, again, the way that they're consistently encouraged to live.
Yes.
And
that's true.
there's a sense of shame if you step outside it and have a couple of normal drinks, which actually might actually help the person to be to live a more stable existence, and not get these mad highs and lows that come with the intensity of what they do.
Well, it's this ESRI report. It's online. It's very accessible. You get a PDF of it very easily. It's actually an enjoyable read. It's interesting. It's about 160 pages. I didn't get to read all of it today with everything else, but I might go back to it at some stage. And in fairness, you'd commend the GA and the GPA for commissioning a report like that. It's actually good to have clear, undebatable information that's just fact, you know, because...
I guess they have to act in it as well, though. I mean,
well, that's the point.
They have the information, but I mean, some of the stuff you're talking about there is a cultural thing, and you know, how do you enact change?
Lance, there's a lot said about the sorry life of the poor old inter-county player, but are these boys not raking it in after their playing careers? Their status gives them a leg up in whatever accounting company they've hitched their wagon to. They've got the after-dinner circuit. It's a long-term game they're playing. Gravy train, says Groovy Gumby. Maybe some of them.
But isn't that the problem, though, that actually, like, yeah, the top percentage, like the stars in the team are going to be pundits and columnists or whatever.
Yeah, you're
raking in serious money, but
you're unheralded centre half back for Longford without and disrespecting anyone for Longford.
He's probably sitting at home right now and just said, "What?
What's this gravy train? How do I get on it?"
Yeah.
Why did you pick on him of all people? That guy's probably listening right now.
Sorry, dude.
The gym I'm in used to hear every Tom, Dick, and Harry, not their real names, adds Barry. Rolling in.
You introduced 3 people called Tom, Dick, and Harry.
To be honest with you, it's a
setting.
caveat that Joe would probably need.
Yeah, didn't need.
Legally, I should say. Rocking up to the gym, 3 different water bottles filled with liquid. That's the colour of Skittles. How can any of it be healthy? Is a very fair question. Yeah, the supplement culture is thriving, isn't it? Anytime I'm in the gym, somebody's chugging it. They're generally ripped as well. I mean, I don't know. I'm butchering cause and effect there. I'm sure.
I'm butchering the word butchering.
Yeah.
Ironically. But they are always like ripped, and you just wonder how healthy they are on the inside. Yeah. I don't know what they're drinking. I'm sure some of them is just protein and it's fine.
Yeah.
But like,
just living a
rife stuff going on. Paul says, if teaching isn't for you, you will be sick of it. You will be burnt out in 5 years. It's not an easy job to deal with 30 kids if your heart isn't in it.
Jesus, one's bad enough.
I can well believe it. I'd say if it's not for you, it's a miserable gig teaching.
Yeah. I'm from a family pretty much of teachers, so yeah.
Really?
I think it, but like, yeah, I don't know. For some people, it's a bit of a vocation thing.
Oh, if you love it, it's brilliant,
they absolutely love it, but it is, yeah. I mean, the summer holidays are very attractive to sports people. There is no doubt. It's pretty obvious.
Not gonna lie to you, Dan. They're very attractive to me too.
Yeah,
they're attractive to all of us. Yeah. And were you tempted to go into the teaching vocation? Even a little bit? No.
No.
I was very tempted.
Really?
Oh man!
I could totally see you teaching geography or something.
Yeah.
I did English and history. I'd signed up for the HDIP.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, no, I was almost there. Almost there. So close.
Oh, I can imagine the thought-provoking pauses at the top of the class. But there would have been like a broadcaster trapped within you, you know. So you would have been your lectures would have been presented in a very sort of discursive manner.
But like that teacher in Ferris Bueller's like, in what way?
I saw myself as more of a Robin Williams, inspirational.
Somewhat wide of the mark again.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay.
All right, we got to move. So, it's a shorter than advertised news round this evening. We've got to get through a few things. Niall Moyne is going to join us to talk about this survey. Binge drinking amongst GA players. Don't forget to look up the definition of binge drinking. That is a fair point. It's about 4 pints in a night, says Angus and Donnybrook, which isn't too huge if you head out at 9 p.m. and head home at 1 a.m.
The lads in Costa Moo are doing more than that.
Okay, but if you have 40 a day for 4 days on a social media, that's a different level of binge drinking.
Sure. No, if they win it, when they win a cup, all hell breaks loose.
Matter.
But
no problem. Like, I mean, I'm just saying that's
the reality.
There's levels of binge drinking. He's technically correct. But we're not talking about that type of...
We're all technically binge drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
Far more than we would like to realise.
There's overweight and there's obese. You know, there's grades of things. It's not always. Yeah. It's not all good.
So the Oireachtas committee is happening tomorrow, Richie. Who's going to be there? What can we expect?
Not the FAI job. Sport Ireland will tell that Oireachtas Joint Committee on Transport, Tourism and Sport, though, that its funding was spent correctly by the FAI. John Tracy, Kieran Mulvey and Colin McGinty are set to represent Sport Ireland in front of the committee tomorrow. In their opening statement, which has been seen by Off the Ball, Tracy says the COSI audit recently referred to the Gardaí shows that all taxpayer funding allocated between 2015 and 2018 was spent as intended. The FAI have declined an invitation to attend a hearing of the committee tomorrow morning. FAI Company Secretary Ria Walsh says the focus of the board is on financial restructuring necessary to safeguard jobs and indeed the association's very future.
AKA, we're busy. We'll talk about that on the football show. I'm not so sure this was a good move on the FAI's part, so we'll come to that after 9 o'clock. Meanwhile, Liverpool are in action tonight.
Kind of. Under-23 manager Neil Critchley is in charge of a youthful Liverpool side for tonight's Carabao Cup quarter-final away to Aston Villa. The Liverpool first team are in Qatar, of course, for their Club World Cup semi-final with Monterrey tomorrow. Tonight's Liverpool lineup has an average age of 19, with 5 first-team debutants. Some of the names involved: Caoimhín Kelleher, as we know, starts in goal. The back four of Kiana Hoover, Sepp van den Berg, Morgan Boyes and Tony Gallagher. Pedro Chiravella, who captains the side, is in midfield, along with Herbie Kane and Isaac Christie-Davies. Then it's a front three of Harvey Elliott, Thomas Hill and Lewis Longstaff. Conor Harahan starts for Aston Villa. Orion Nyland starts in goal for them. Ahmed El Mohammadi, James Chester, Ezri Konsa and Neil Taylor are their back four. Henri Lansbury, Douglas Luiz and Harahan are in midfield, with Jota, Jonathan Khadija and Trezeguet their front three. Kick-off at Villa Park at 7:45.
So with no Grealish, that suggests Villa aren't taking it as seriously as they might otherwise as well.
That midfield.
No, it's pretty strong.
It's a strong side otherwise.
Yeah.
Grealish just injured, maybe?
I'm not sure what the
I think
issue
they're
is.
probably just. I think Grealish is on the bench,
Okay.
but they're just giving him a rest
Okay.
from the off. But that's a fairly strong Villa side.
Okay, fair enough. Kind of an interesting experiment to see how basically Liverpool's reserves go against.
Yeah, I mean,
Villa's
looking at
strongest team.
I know odds and stuff, but I mean, Villa are heavy favourites.
Are
I'd
they?
expect
Okay.
them to.
And the
to do
makeshift
it.
Liverpool side conceded about 5 against Arsenal in the previous round.
Yeah. So Jurgen Klopp facing some fun questions in Qatar.
Yeah, he says he's had no time to consider Qatar's human rights record ahead of their first match in the Club World Cup tomorrow. Concerns, of course, expressed about the country hosting the event and the 2022 World Cup because of its stance on homosexuality and immigrant workers' rights, among other issues. Klopp, though, says inclusion is an important subject, but they're in Doha to play football.
No, I said I have an opinion about football, and I speak about it. I have an opinion about that as well, but this is a really serious thing to talk about, and I really think these answers should be given by people who know more about it and who know more about our influence. So if I can be, and I think I have to be kind of influential in football, but in politics, other people have to be influential. Whatever I could say today about that wouldn't help the situation. We would just create another headline, positive or negative, who cares? So another headline, that's not how it should work. I like you asking the question. I'm sorry, but I think I'm the wrong person to answer it. Like all the other athletes are the wrong persons to answer it.
We'll come to this in the football show as well and tease it out. It's torn. And you think as well, I mean, in fairness, when it suited Klopp, he was more than happy to talk about Brexit at length. It's very tricky, I would presume, in Doha. He doesn't want to create practically an international incident.
You end up having a situation, Tariq Panja tweeted today that he has a friend in China who says that Arsenal have a 0.1% chance of being broadcast in China again if Mesut Ozil is playing for them.
Yeah.
And that will carry on for whomever Mesut Ozil signs for should he leave Arsenal.
Yeah.
Which is a scary prospect that clubs are being forced into ignoring massive human rights issues because there's TV money coming in.
Because it's so obvious, you just know by what a person Klopp seems to be, that homophobic behaviour is something he would find abhorrent and from the dark ages and ridiculous, you know. And he's like, look, obviously everyone should be treated equally, but it's to what extent you put your head above the parapet, you become a spokesperson almost for that cause, is what he's grappling with.
I think we'll touch on it in the football show.
Yeah.
But it's where do you stop if you start to?
But he started with Brexit.
You know the principle stand that you want people to take, but it's not always as easy as just expecting them to come out with it.
To do it, yeah.
Speaking of abhorrent, actually, Tom Hill tonight for Liverpool is going to be wearing number 99.
I see.
That's disgusting.
Some people get very head up about those
Right.
things.
It's not right, though.
Squad numbers.
It's not right. It's not
Yeah.
right. It doesn't, in the words of Barry Davies, somebody I trust on the matter, it's a number that doesn't belong on an association football pitch.
It would be nice to watch a team with the right numbers 1 to 11, wouldn't it?
I'd get by with it. Like I doesn't really. It's like
I don't like
kit
it.
discussions and shirt numbers. Like, I mean, really, like
Not for you.
We're coming from human rights issues to this, you know.
Well, I think, I think he was...
Trying to lighten the mood, Dan.
When he used the word abhorrent there, he was being ironic.
I know.
Just to clarify.
It wasn't a serious topic he was making.
No. So, well,
Point.
last couple, Ancelotti, we should get to quickly.
Yeah, in the first semi-final of that club World Cup, by the way, Flamengo are going to head through the leading 10-man Al Hilal by 3-1. Everton remain locked in talks with Carlo Ancelotti as they look to appoint him as their new manager. The Italian's been in discussions with majority shareholder Farhad Moshiri in London. It had been claimed that Ancelotti had already agreed to a 4.5-year deal to replace Marco Silva at Goodison Park, but nothing's yet been signed. Duncan Ferguson, though, is set to remain as part of Ancelotti's backroom team if appointed. A Man City boss, Pep Guardiola, has confirmed his assistant Mikel Arteta is in talks to become the new Arsenal manager. Arteta has been part of City's preparations for their Carabao Cup quarter-final with Oxford tomorrow night. Guardiola appears resigned to losing Arteta to Arsenal and outlined earlier today what made him a good catch.
Last season we had Lee Nopes here and went to Liverpool. And he decided to went to Liverpool. Now it happened with Mikel that teams wants him, so he knows exactly what we want, we would like, but at the end, the final decision is individual, is personal. Nobody's here when he doesn't wanna be. So he's still here because he wanna be. We decided to work together 3 years ago. What happened in the next days, I don't know, honestly. I would like to be here, Mikel, and can explain better than me. So, but I have the obligation to come in front of you, Sam, and I'm here.
Okay, see what happens there. Dan McDonnell for the time being, thank you. Richie, thanks for the news round this evening. We have Ronan O'Gara with us after 8 o'clock. There'll also be some Brian O'Driscoll in that 8 to 9 hour. Dan is back for the football show. Paddy Agnew will join us. And up next, Professor Niall Moyna in studio talking to us about the life of an inter-county player.
Off the ball on News Talk.
Sarah stretches, feeling refreshed. She never normally wakes naturally for work. She's a little suspicious. It's 10:30, Sarah.
Huh?
You forgot to set your alarm again?
Ah, for
People forget.